we'll wait till Sherry comes back. She's just going to, I apologize to people that are online. We're having a water sprinkler system put in and fire alarms, all that sort of thing. So we need to, they're doing some work in the attic above in the mezzanine. And so there's a bit of noise on the attic here today. And so just bear with us. Thank you. So as I said before, if council wants to amalgamate the arena, disband the arena committee and just have one recreation committee and then amalgamate the two committees, will require a motion of council in terms of reference. The committee itself oversees the project, but they don't direct it. It's really a capital project. When it's in construction stage, staff will manage that part of it. They will arrange for the engineers to come and do the supervision and inspections as it's being built, and they'll make sure it's on budget, on time. Any deficiencies are corrected or change orders. That's all part of administration. What is the committee's job is to consult with the community on what is going to be built, where it will be built, when it will be built. Is there to work with staff to ensure there's budget to build and operate and maintain, and then committees usually fundraise for some of it.
Chief, I move that Chief and Council are provided with the terms of reference for all those committees out there and the last couple of reports, so that before we make any decisions, we see all the terms of reference. We see, if they exist, we see all the activities from the committees in the last year or two, and then we can sit back, digest it, and make an informed decision.
Okay, but it's also up to the chair of that committee to reach out to their members and monitor attendance at those committees. If people are not attending, to say, are you able to continue serving on this committee, or do you want to resign? Because a committee is no good if the members don't show up for the meetings and you don't have quorum. And that's what our experience has been. A lot of these committees that have been formed in the past, it's all gung-ho when they first two or three meetings, then it peters out, and then people lose interest. They don't have quorum, then it just fizzles out. And so to me, you need dedicated members who have the time and are willing to serve on these committees and show up for meetings to make decisions.
Chief, that's a motion too, sir.
Okay, it's been moved. Do you want to word your motion for Shelley, please?
Motion that the terms of reference for all the various recreation committees, or terms of reference for all our committees, be provided, and the activity reports for the last 24 months from each committee is provided.
Okay. Is there a seconder for Chris's motion?
I would second that, just to see how active these particular community committees are in fact, or are they a committee saying that they're a committee but not actually meeting about anything?
Well, the terms of reference won't tell you that. The terms of reference are basically how they're going to govern themselves. Doesn't give us the details
The
of how they're
minutes,
working.
and there should be minutes of the
Yes.
committee meetings, because you pay
But
honorariums.
he specifically said terms of reference.
You pay honorariums to the committees, so there should be minutes.
I don't know about terms of reference, but
you need that,
I would
Chris.
second a motion to find out how active these committees are, and if they aren't active, well, what's the sense of even having a committee if nobody?
I can tell you, Chris, a lot of these committees have not met in years because the people do not show up.
So in fact, like
And
I said,
actually what was happening was that they were coming to council, asking council for the information, and then council was becoming the committee of the committee. I mean, they're there to make recommendations to go to council.
So the motion should be for terms of reference and minutes of all these committees. Is that what you're asking for?
Yes.
And the minutes of the committee meetings should come here, and we should go back to the old process where the minutes of the committee members, the committee come to council on a regular basis. It's just information sharing, so we don't have this disjointed communication issue.
So that's the motion to request the terms of reference and minutes for the committees.
Yeah.
Is that it, Chris?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
okay, I'm interested in that. I'll second that.
Chris?
just to find information.
Is anybody opposed? Anybody opposed? Seeing done, the motion is carried. Now, going back to the other question that's been brought up at this table this morning, do you want to amalgamate the arena committee and the recreation committee? It's yes or no. Aaron?
I think we should give the recreation committee and the lacrosse arena committee a chance to separate because it's new, it's coming out, it obviously was never formed. Tommy's working on terms of reference for this, and then it will go out to the community, and there's a bunch of people that are interested in lacrosse specifically. So I do think that it's not going to hurt anybody to give it an opportunity to see
Okay.
if it has legs.
Chris, your hand was up.
And I would like to see all the committees, Chief. I understand we used to have a highly functioning education committee.
Okay,
That's why I said all
let's
committees.
not digress. Let's stick to the committee, the recreation committees. So do you have any comments concerning what Aaron said?
No, motion's on the floor, Chief. I think they're seconded.
Is anybody opposed?
What
And-
motion?
No, that's not a motion yet.
Yes, he made a motion.
For terms of reference
And
and
minutes,
for
minute.
minutes to
minutes.
come to council,
Yeah.
You already
and
did
that's
that.
what we're voting on.
This is for two separate committees now, the
Oh.
arena committee and rec committee.
What is on the floor right now is to bring the terms of reference and the minutes to council. That's the
We
mover.
already passed it.
That's already done.
But if there's a motion,
Yes, it's
I
done.
asked if there was anybody opposed, and I was waiting for an answer.
It already carried.
Okay, the motion is carried. When I say the motion is carried, then we're on to the next thing. Now, Aaron, your comment.
I made my comment.
Okay, Chris, do you have anything to say about Aaron's comments?
No, Chief. It's just that then you ask for another motion. We need to digest this information before we get to the next level of where we go. We got to know where we are before we can know where you're going, and we haven't received that information until next
Okay.
council.
The other thing is that the committee does not decide spending of council. Council does that. And so when there are budgets, they should be having an administrative meeting with the CAO, with the director of operations, and with the finance director to see how these things should be put forward there because it affects what council approves the budget at the beginning of the year. So that's how it should work. It shouldn't be just beeline it to council. Because we're operating in chaos when it happens that way. That the reason why we approve budgets at the beginning of the year is so we don't wind up in a financial bind. But when things are just beeline to council with no input from the director of finance and just go ahead with it, and then that's why we have a director of finance. That's why we have senior administrative staff. Chris?
Answering to, we've already a motion that was carried. I'm hearing what Aaron is saying. And the difference between one and the next is the addition to lacrosse and arena. So are they under the same building
Well,
or?
it's really up to the I did ask, what does the recreation committee or did this arena committee, what do they have to say about it? We have a committee for a reason, and I haven't heard anything from them.
Yeah, so which is coming back to Chris's motion is that we have to find out first on how active these committees are. And if they're not, well, why have it if
Well,
nobody is
maybe
meeting?
there's
So,
maybe
and
there's-
if we have to put a new amalgamate the different so that we do like I stated
Okay.
before, what's a possibility of having a recreation department again to take care of everything on that has to do with recreation? Like that's my question. So that we don't have all these little tiny committees looking after everything but a recreation
Okay.
department. But that means its own department.
I'll tell you what
Means
it
more
used to-
jobs and more responsibility.
When I was first on council, there was a recreation committee. It was a volunteer committee. They worked pretty independent, but they used to bring the minutes to council for sharing of information. It was put on the agenda. They would actually fundraise to pay for a lot of the things that were the tournaments and all that kind of stuff. There was Mary Ann, there was Donnie Smart and Debbie Smart, Jack Green, Dorothy Green, and others that were on that committee. There was a lot of volunteers from the community that would chaperone people to lacrosse and all other things, baseball games. It was but then there was a director of recreation Then they started going to the committees and they started to control the committee. So therefore, everything that they wanted to do, the director didn't agree with it. And as a result, they felt, well, then what's the point in having a committee if staff are going to decide everything? And so all of that fizzled out, and then there was no recreation committee for a while. People just got old and couldn't do it anymore, and they were never replaced, and it just fizzled out. But then it's resurrected again, and I understand now there's a very active recreation committee that meets regularly. That's a good thing. And I don't know about the arena committee, but obviously from what I hear from Shelley, it is meeting and it's doing its work. But they're not going to supervise, once the project has been awarded, the recreation committee does not oversee that construction project. The band staff do that. All they have to do is consult the community well about what is going to be built, where it's going to be built. There should be information going out to the community about the budget to build and operate and maintain, and where it's coming from. That's all part of the community consultation process or information sharing. And it seems that's a bit lacking. Right now, there's over $3 million invested in a GIC from the $3 a carton of cigarettes that's paid here. $2 of that goes to TCDF, and they've saved up money over the years for this recreation center, and it's invested in a GIC. Chris?
Chief, I like Councillor Chris's idea of resurrecting recreation manager, coordinator. I move for the CAO to come back with the viability of a recreation coordinator being put in place once again.
Okay.
You mean a department, like a
No, an
separate?
employee.
Just
We have
an
a recreation
employee.
coordinater. We have a department. Oh, well, whatever. I agree with what you're saying though. One person.
Okay,
You gotta start with
it's
the
been
person.
moved, but terms of reference should be drawn up for that, and where's the money coming from, all that. So,
Exactly, and that's where we're a little bit hard pressed, is where would we find the money for
Okay,
this?
now, I just want to make a point. In the past, Tyendinaga has always had committees, and that's all voluntary. We have different departments in our, in MBQ. We do have all the different departments, financial department and housing department. But why do we not have a recreation department? Like why, like we do have, like I see on all these other reserves throughout Canada, and money that is coming into their community, actually parts of that is directed to the recreation department. And the recreation department then does what they need to do to establish the upkeep of an arena or a lacrosse box
So there's
or
a
a
lo-
swimming pool. And that money is and it could
health
be a
and
different
wellness
situation.
budget.
I think we're looking at, and I mean, we're starting to create a lot of recreational things. Like we're looking at arenas. We have that whole rec area over off of York Road that's really starting to come to life. I mean, maybe those are next steps in terms of our growth. Is that we now have so much infrastructure in place, and we're leaning into so much more infrastructure that perhaps that might be next steps to be looking
Yeah,
at.
I mean, I wouldn't use the term come to life to have more there, because there's been a baseball field there that's well used for many years. The lacrosse box has been built and used for many years.
I'm talking
There-
infrastructure.
There's
yeah.
the canteen is there, now the splash pad is there. But
Well,
there-
that's new. These are all
but
new.
Recreation complex.
Exactly. And now we're talking about a complex. I mean, maybe that's the next steps in kind of growth and
Well, that's what I
development. We
understand.
are a growing community.
But I understand that's what they're applying for, is a recreation complex. Is that not right?
Center, yes.
Erin?
I'm not opposed to growth and investigating it. If there's a way that we can get money and employ more people here. I do also think that our Kara person that's in that program right now is doing an amazing job bringing all this recreation back to life. So I don't know if that's a program that we can explore
Yes.
further.
Yeah, and I was
into.
thinking about that when Chris was talking, is our community well-being center actually oversees our fitness center, the CARA program. So there are aspects of recreation that fall in different departments. Maybe it's time to look at blending those together. But the next steps in that would be lobbying for
More money.
money
well,
to
they-
sustain having kind of that oversight.
One thing I can tell you, if the government changes, they're going to cap spending.
Yes.
And they're going to make the military and police and law enforcement a priority. I mean, it's advertised as part of the campaign. So there's not going to be new money. And if they're going to make other areas priority and spending, something has got to give, and some budgets has to be cut.
Yeah.
It'll be the ones who are at the bottom rung of the ladder. And guess who that is?
Hence why, I mean, we do really do need to focus on sole source revenue to be able to sustain some of these really
Well,
great.
the other thing, you need to look at the
paths.
mental health, because recreation is part of mental health and
Yes.
wellness. It isn't just sitting down talking to somebody to have empathy. You know, is what kind of programming is available, rather just come and have an appointment with somebody. So the program delivery should be looked at, and of course, and how the contribution agreements, how wide open are they for change? Chris?
I believe, Chief, that if we hired a recreation coordinator, the savings, it's going to cost money, but the savings of having one person as opposed to this Parks and Rec department over here internally is involved, community well-being's involved,
Yeah.
this committee, that committee, 3 or 4 committees, 2 or 3 departments within MBQ, and all it's creating is tons of chaos, as opposed to, you got to pay to have one person, but then you go, hey, recreation coordinator, and they would potentially have their own department, because right now there is a recreation department, just a lot of them fall under BPM or parks.
That's only
So-
one aspect. We have some under CWC as well.
Exactly, and I'm saying when you have so many players, there's
Yes.
going to be cost savings, and you're going to cut back on the dysfunction.
Okay, so you might be able to get 70, if you hire a band member, you might be able to get 75% of that wage covered for the first year to see how they make out. Like, you know, there's another community that to fundraise, they have something called Chase the Ace, and community members buy tickets and they help support, they give back. Here it's subsidize this and subsidize that, but you have to also give back. And, you know, the businesses are giving back this $3 a carton of cigarettes, and it's up to council to decide where they want to spend it. And so $2 of the 3 goes to TCDF, and I think it's about 130 or 140,000 council keeps for your own priorities. So if you want to use that money to hire a recreation director, well, there's a source of funding.
Maybe it's a change subject here, but could we, like I had stated earlier in the when this conversation first started, is look to an arena and a swimming pool, and find out what the cost of building and the cost of running it for whatever.
Oh,
like a-
maintaining them?
maintaining
Yeah.
of those particular, but do it like, we have to do our due diligence and really
Well,
look to see.
because-
So now what I'm thinking that too is that a cost of fixing up what we already have in the lacrosse box, and not necessarily making it an arena, because that goes back to the cost of all the compressors and everything that you need to actually do an arena to be an effective arena. It's going to be way too much. I think to use the lacrosse box, fix it up, enclose it for lacrosse only, and have it, I think it'll be used. I think it'll be used, and at a fraction of a cost
Okay.
of putting an actual ice pad in
Okay,
there.
so we're this is why we have a committee. and this is the council meeting is turning now into a recreation committee. If the council have ideas, you can go to the committee and talk to them.
But Chief, we already agreed we have the three, in essence, committees. And if we have one person to coordinate on our behalf, we wouldn't be wasting valuable time talking about this all day long.
Because right now, we can talk about it, but decisions have to be made. And I did ask the question, do you want these committees amalgamated? And there's no appetite to do that yet, so then it still is under discussion. Aaron?
So our motion, I think it was 16, I'm not sure, I don't have them up right now at the moment, but that was the point, Chris, to your statement.
Yeah.
The motion that we made last week was to do that, to have those committees do that
Yes.
beginning feasibility of investigating.
Yeah.
Maybe they do close in that arena, maybe they want to investigate getting a new one, but that's what their plan is. And there currently isn't an arena committee. There isn't one.
No.
So that's what the new committee will be doing.
So
Hopefully, yeah.
so really the community consultation about what, where, when, what, but they shouldn't put forth a recommendation without knowing what it's going to cost or how it's going to where the money comes to operate and maintain it. Are they going to have to fundraise? Are they going to have to, or do they just expect somebody's going to cover all the bills?
No, they'll look into that as they go, once
Yep,
they determine the
that's right. We can talk
feasibility.
about that.
Yeah. So that's why we need to see I'd like to see the building and operation budget for this project. And I think there was one.
That was an old project. For this, there's no project at all right now. It's just the beginning, investigating it.
You
Maybe
know
they
what?
close it in, maybe they make a new one.
You know, with the discussions of it at council, one time when Josh Hill was going to be here, it was going to be over on 49 next to the ALFTC building.
no.
Now it's over on the York Road. So where is it going to be?
They'll determine that as well. The committee.
Where is it going to be and what is it going to be?
If possible, I would, yeah.
And
If
what will it
possible, I'd
cost
like
to operate,
see all of our
maintain, build,
recreation
operate,
in one
maintain?
area. Oh, sorry. If it's possible, I personally would like to see all the recreation in one area and not spread everywhere. So, you know, you're going from one end of the community to the other, you know, it's better to have all of our recreation right in one.
Okay,
area.
what should happen is we should have shovel-ready projects, engineered, designed, approved by council, things that are, we know what it's going to cost to build and operate, maintain. So when funding becomes available, we have the information we require to apply. You don't wait until there's announcements and then start to get your act together. And so to me, there was a call for proposals for capital for recreation facilities not too long ago. And if you don't have this stuff ready, then guess what? You can't plug into the system, you miss the boat. And it will require direction of council to set the priorities on what you'd like to see built so that this legwork can get done to get ready for projects when they become available. I think the government knows that there's a significant relationship between mental health and wellness and recreation. Children who are involved in sports tend to do a lot better in school and in academics and to stay away from drugs and all this sort of thing if they're involved in sports. So it's a good thing for the community and for the young people. So Sherry, can you see what we have information on budgets and capital budgets and operating budgets that have been and put it back on council? I know there was something like that when Josh Hill was on council
You mean for what, Chief?
for this recreation complex.
Yes, I know.
Then the minute get the recreation committee, there is no arena committee, so there's no minutes. That will. I just heard today that there's no arena committee, no minutes. Because Shelley, you said you didn't get any, you other than the 4 business owners there, and who else is on that committee? Pardon me? 4 business owners and 1 community member. Right now, they're going to go ahead with their work unless you decide otherwise. So I don't want to hear complaints about this committee. You know right well there's who these people are. Send the council an email who's on the committee, Shelley. And they expect to go ahead with their work. She's advertised for them. There's no terms of reference, or is there? There is? And have they been approved by council? Yeah. So, all right, put the terms of reference on council so council can read up on it and know what they're talking about.
So that's just for one committee. We also have the recreational committee I have to look into. Is there any
But-
other
but Obviously,
committees?
it would appear that there needs to be terms of reference put to council so council knows what is it they're supposed to do.
Yeah, so right now, and I just, because I'm fairly new here, guys, so all I'm aware of is a recreational committee and the TCDF. Is there others?
The arena committee,
There is a arena committee?
No.
she just got done telling you that.
No.
No, there's not an arena
Our
committee.
motion was to get that going last week. It
And you
hasn't
have
been
4 people
established.
sitting on it.
No, that's a TCDF.
Oh, the TCDF does, okay. So, Eddie, do you want the arena committee to go ahead or not?
We
Chris?
already made a motion to do that last week,
there's
and I don't
already a
want to rescind my
motion.
motion.
Requesting the terms of reference for all the recreation committees and the minutes from their meetings from the last few years. Whether it's the recreation committee, the tobacco one, the arena committee, and if the arena committee doesn't exist, we better change our motion. We just said
Yeah.
they're part of that.
There's really only
It
two.
really is hard to manage this chaos here at council. What, administratively, we need some accountability for these committees. What has been done, what is not done.
And that is what I will look into.
Can we have that for next council? It should be just a matter
I'm
of
going to
what
do
should
the
we-
best I can to get the information. If the committees are, I mean,
One
I'll have
speak
to
at a
find
time.
out who to contact for the recreational committee to get this
Right, and
information.
then chief, we got to
I can
hold
get
our
that to you.
horses regarding arena, this arena, that arena. Let's just get our head around the information.
Okay, but make sure you understand, there are deadlines to apply for funding, and if you miss the boat, they're not gonna buy into your excuses for being late. If you're late, you're out of the ballgame. For funding. So
We
there are
have,
deadlines, so staff are, when they're working, doing their day-to-day work here, they're cognizant of those deadlines. And so they do need decisions made quickly, so they cannot pull it all together overnight. It's not
No.
off of their sleeve. They
These
can't
are
work
big
that way.
projects. They need time for planning
And costing and making sure that the information they're putting forward is sound. Aaron?
Can we take a break? We have a
Sure.
meeting at 11 as well.
Yep, let's take
we'll
a
have to go
5-minute
off.
break then. Good afternoon. We are going to log off now for a private session of council, and we will be resuming the public portion of council at 3 p.m. this afternoon. So if the people that are joining us online, if you'd like to log back on at 3 o'clock, thank you very much.